Are you getting the respect you truly deserve? Why is it that so many people feel overlooked, at work, in relationships, even in their own lives? And what if the key to gaining real respect didn't come from others, but started with you? If you've ever felt undervalued or disrespected, you're not alone. Many of us experience moments when it seems like our efforts go unnoticed, our boundaries ignored, or our voices unheard. But as Stoics, we believe that every problem has a solution. And here's the good news. Feeling disrespected is a challenge that you have the power to overcome. In this video, I'm going to share 7 Stoic techniques that will help you stop disrespect in its tracks and begin to cultivate the respect you rightfully deserve. And it all begins with the most essential foundation of all, self-respect. So what does self-respect truly mean? It's not just about confidence or outward appearances. It's about the stories you tell yourself, the thoughts you entertain, and the value you assign to yourself in your own inner world. Self-respect is the solid ground upon which every other form of respect is built. When you lack it, you unconsciously signal to others that you don't deserve theirs either. Think about a time when you tolerated behavior that you knew was beneath you. That, right there, is a sign. But the good news is, you can change that. And the first place to start is somewhere no one can interfere with, your own mind. Take a moment to examine your inner dialogue. Are your thoughts kind? Do you celebrate your strengths, your progress, your accomplishments, even the small ones? If not, then now is the perfect time to begin. Marcus Aurelius once asked, "How is it that we love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own?" That's the heart of the issue. Self-respect begins with self-awareness. You need to understand your own strengths and weaknesses, your values, and your limits. Ask yourself, what makes you proud? What have you achieved that deserves recognition? When you can answer those questions with honesty and conviction, you begin to cultivate a quiet strength that naturally commands respect. Now, let's be clear. Self-respect is not the same as arrogance. Many people confuse the two, but arrogance often masks insecurity. It's a shield we wear when we fear we're not enough. True self-respect, on the other hand, allows for humility. It doesn't rely on applause or outside validation. It just is. Epictetus put it best when he said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." You can't learn to respect yourself if, deep down, you believe you don't deserve it. Practically speaking, building self-respect is a daily practice. Start by speaking to yourself with the same respect and kindness you'd offer to someone you deeply admire. Pay attention to your self-talk. Are you critical, dismissive, or unkind? Would you talk that way to a friend or a colleague? If not, why do it to yourself? The Stoics believed in daily reflection as a way to strengthen the mind, and self-respect begins exactly there. So, what happens when you're disrespected in real life, publicly, or in the middle of a heated exchange? How should you respond then? Let's move on to page 2 to explore that next step. Previously, we explored how self-respect is the foundation for earning the respect of others. And one of the most powerful Stoic practices for cultivating self-respect is self-reflection, just like Marcus Aurelius did every evening. Each night, Marcus Aurelius would quietly reflect on his day, recognizing the moments where he lived according to his values, and acknowledging the times he fell short. When he failed, he didn't judge himself, he committed to doing better. When he succeeded, he gave himself quiet recognition. This practice teaches us a crucial Stoic principle. When you become your own source of validation, rather than chasing it from others, you reclaim power over your life. And the best part? The mind is the one place where you always have control, far more than anything or anyone outside of you. That brings us to the second technique for earning more respect. Create real change in your life that sets you up to receive respect. Because the truth is, sometimes a lack of respect isn't the core issue, it's a signal. A surface-level symptom of deeper problems that require change. And real, lasting change always begins within. When others treat you poorly, trying to fix or persuade them rarely works. Instead, the Stoic approach asks you to turn inward. Where in your life do you feel most disrespected? Is it at work? At home? In your friendships? Those patterns often point you directly toward the areas that need your attention. Let's take work, for example. Do you dread interacting with your boss or coworkers? If your job makes you feel small or unseen, then something needs to shift. Maybe you need new responsibilities, a better team dynamic, or maybe it's time to consider a completely new job. You'll naturally attract more respect when your work feels meaningful and when the people around you treat it that way. 2. Now, look at your physical environment. Does your home reflect self-respect or self-neglect? Even small changes can have a big impact. A clean, organized space doesn't just look better, it helps you feel better about yourself. It becomes a reflection of how seriously you take your own life. And then, there are your relationships. Perhaps the most powerful influence of all. Ask yourself, who respects my boundaries? Who constantly crosses them? Sometimes, creating space from people who diminish you is one of the most respectful acts you can do for yourself. Money can also play a huge role. Many people feel stuck in toxic situations because of financial stress, and often, self-respect suffers under the weight of debt or scarcity. If that's something you're facing, begin by creating a simple, realistic plan to start moving forward. Even small financial wins can bring back a sense of dignity. But here's the thing. You can't fix it all overnight. Start by choosing one area where change is possible. Take a single action that honors your self-respect. Then take another, because at the heart of Stoic thinking is this truth. Respect isn't earned by forcing others to change. It's earned by living in alignment with your values. And when you do that, people notice. So take an honest inventory of your life. What can you improve? What must you accept? And what should you walk away from? Then take action, one step at a time. As you do this, you'll find that your self-respect begins to grow, and with it, so does the respect you receive from others. Right finger. But what about those moments when you're in direct conversation with someone, and things go wrong? When you're misunderstood, judged unfairly, or even disrespected face to face? That's where Technique 3 comes in. A timeless Stoic rule that will protect your peace. Focus on what you can control. In the previous part, we started to realize something important. If you want respect, don't begin by demanding it from others. Instead, turn inward, toward the one thing you can truly control, yourself. But then, you try to help someone, and they assume you have bad intentions. It's discouraging, right? This is exactly when you need to pause and remember the core idea. You can only control your actions, words, and attitude, not how others interpret or react. Before stepping into an important conversation, take a brief moment to remind yourself of this. Even a short pause like that can create a calming mental space around you. The Stoics had a simple but powerful mental technique. They called it the reserve clause. It was a thought they added to every action. For example, I will speak clearly, if nothing gets in the way. It may sound simple, but it's a reminder that not everything is within your control. This doesn't mean lowering your standards. Quite the opposite. It helps you focus your energy where it actually matters. In a face-to-face conversation, that might mean choosing your words carefully, maintaining a respectful tone, and checking that your intentions are sincere. In a corporate setting, it might involve having a direct talk, then following it up with an email, and maybe doing a bit of extra work to ensure the message is fully understood. All of that is much more effective than trying to manage someone else's reaction. Still, what if someone misunderstands you? Don't rush to defend yourself. Just calmly say, I think I wasn't clear. Let me try again. And when someone gets upset, remind yourself, their emotions are theirs to manage, not yours. You'll be surprised how much mental clarity opens up once you stop trying to control what others think of you. That freedom nurtures a natural kind of confidence, not forced, not fake. And strangely enough, the less you chase respect, the more you tend to receive it. Of course, this takes time, especially when emotions run high. Start with easier conversations. Notice when you slip into trying to control how others react. Gently bring your focus back to your own words, your tone, and your intentions. Gradually, you'll build a kind of calm inner core that people can sense, even if they can't explain why. You become someone who speaks with clarity, listens without getting defensive, and stands firm without unnecessary aggression. This quiet strength becomes your foundation, not because you demanded respect, but because you stopped chasing it, and instead, chose to act in a way that truly matters. So, once you've learned how to manage yourself in conversations, what do you do when the dialogue turns difficult? That's when it's time to move on to our next technique for earning deeper respect: embracing discomfort in tough situations. In the previous section, we talked about the power of leaning into discomfort, how facing difficult conversations head-on is often the very path to earning deeper respect. So what do you do when you're right in the middle of one of those tense moments, and emotions start to rise? Start small. Notice your breathing. Feel your feet grounded on the floor. Speak just a little slower than what feels natural. These simple actions help you stay centered when things get emotionally charged. If the other person becomes defensive or starts raising their voice, bring your attention back to what you can control: your words, your tone, and your intention. Their reaction? That belongs to them, not to you. Sometimes, simply naming the disrespect can shift the entire dynamic. The other person may not have even realized the impact of their behavior. Other times, nothing changes, at least not right away. But the value is still there. It's in choosing to honor yourself enough to speak up. You did your part, and that's a powerful first step. You've also begun laying the groundwork for something deeper, maybe even the possibility of distancing yourself from that person if needed. Over time, these hard conversations lose their power to intimidate you. You start to build a reputation, not as someone aggressive, but as someone clear, calm, and direct. Someone people think twice about dismissing or disrespecting. And every time you face a difficult interaction, instead of avoiding it, you reinforce something vital within yourself. I'm worth standing up for. And I know I can do it, because I've done it before. The Stoics had a name for this kind of strength. They called it voluntary discomfort. Choosing the harder path when it aligns with your values. And here's the beautiful part. What once felt impossible begins to feel merely uncomfortable. What was once uncomfortable becomes routine. And situations that began in disrespect often end with more respect. But what happens when the disrespect isn't in the action, but in the words? When it comes in the form of criticism, that's where our fifth technique comes in: learning how to handle criticism with clarity and confidence. In the last section, we learned how criticism, when handled well, can actually strengthen your confidence and sharpen your character. But mastering your response to criticism isn't just about defense. It's also about who you choose to become in the process. Marcus Aurelius reminds us of a powerful truth: you are not obligated to form an opinion about everything placed before you. And more importantly, you're not required to give up your peace of mind. External things don't have the power to disturb you, unless you give them that power. Criticism, whether fair or unfair, is simply information. You choose how to interpret it. You decide who you want to be in that moment. Will you be the person who reacts emotionally, or the one who listens calmly, sorts the useful from the useless, and responds with self-respect? The person who accepts valid feedback with grace, and brushes off petty criticism without bitterness, that person shows true inner strength. That kind of calm, grounded confidence doesn't just feel good, it earns respect. And even if respect doesn't always come right away, you gain something even more valuable: clarity. You begin to see clearly who's genuinely trying to help you, and who's projecting their own issues. And sometimes, knowing who not to listen to is just as important as knowing who to trust. Which brings us to the sixth technique for gaining more respect: speak to the best in others. Yes. We've talked about calling out disrespect when you feel it, about being direct and honest when your boundaries are crossed. That's the stick. But sometimes, you also need the carrot. Ask yourself, is it possible that the way I speak is contributing to the disrespect I receive? It's a tough question, but a fair one. Many people, without realizing it, speak only to the worst in those around them. They zoom in on flaws, mistakes, and shortcomings, thinking it makes them sound tough or in control. But often, it just makes them sound harsh. And harshness may win silence, but it rarely wins respect. The Stoics knew a better path. They believed your words are a mirror of your character. When you choose to speak to the highest, most capable part of someone, you're also calling on the best within yourself. Think about it. Every time you open your mouth, you have a choice: to lift someone up or to shut them down, to inspire or to insult. In every single conversation, you have that power. Let's say someone's struggling with a task. Instead of highlighting their failure, try affirming their potential. I know you've got this. That phrase carries more weight than "you always mess this up." In team settings, swap out blame for encouragement. Try, "Here's where we can improve," rather than, "Here's where you failed." And don't forget to scan your own language. Are you unknowingly talking down to others? Phrases like, "You probably won't understand," or "Let me simplify this for you," can sound condescending, even if you meant well. Instead, speak as if the other person is smart, capable, and coming from a good place. You might be surprised how quickly they rise to meet that version of themselves. Of course, if you're doing the work, being respectful, speaking to others' best selves, but someone keeps showing you disrespect, remember, you don't need to stoop to their level. As Marcus Aurelius put it so well, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. When you consistently speak to the best in others, you help bring it out. And when you create a space filled with respect, it naturally finds its way back to you. Now, what if you've done all of this, and you're still not being respected? Then it's time for our seventh and final technique, and it's one that might just change everything. In the last section, we talked about how speaking to the best in others not only lifts them up, it elevates you too. But inspiring words alone aren't enough. They have to be backed by something even more powerful: your actions. Think about someone you deeply respect. What makes their presence so solid? It's likely because they do what they say they'll do. Their promises aren't empty. Their words carry weight, not because they speak louder, but because their actions speak for them. That's what real integrity looks like. Marcus Aurelius put it perfectly. Waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one. Simple, direct, timeless. So, how do we put this into practice? Start small, really small. If you say you'll call someone back, call them back. If you set a time for a meeting, show up on time. If you commit to something, follow through. Even when it's inconvenient. These might seem like tiny wins, but they build something big. Trust in yourself, and trust from others. Each small act of follow-through becomes a brick in the foundation of your personal credibility. And here's the thing: owning your mistakes also earns massive respect. When you mess up, and you will, skip the excuses. Don't blame the traffic, the Wi-Fi, or someone else. Just say it. I was wrong. I made a mistake. Short, honest, powerful. People don't expect perfection, but they do respect consistency. They admire someone who takes responsibility and shows up with sincerity. That's integrity, not just in big, moral decisions, but in the daily moments where you choose to live in alignment with your word. Of course, you won't always get it right. You'll forget things. You'll slip. But each time you acknowledge the slip, learn from it, and recommit, you grow stronger. Bit by bit, something shifts inside. You start trusting yourself more. You walk taller. You speak with more ease. You stop second guessing, and others feel it too. Because when your words and actions line up, people notice, and respect tends to follow naturally. So now, you've got all 7 techniques in your toolkit to build the respect you truly deserve. Build self-respect first. Make life changes that support respect. Focus only on what you can control. Don't shy away from tough conversations. Handle criticism with wisdom. Speak to the best in others. Align your words with your actions. Start small. Set up systems that protect your dignity and support who you want to become. Don't normalize disrespect, challenge it. With courage and calm. Every time you practice one of these techniques, you reinforce a powerful message. I matter. My values matter, and I choose to act like it. So here's your next step. Pick just one technique. Apply it today. See how it feels. Then, keep building, one day, one conversation, one decision at a time. And in our upcoming videos, we'll dive even deeper into the timeless wisdom of the Stoics. Because living a good life isn't about tips and tricks, it's about a complete mental approach. A way of being. If you found this helpful, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss what's next. Your thoughts and comments also help others discover these tools, right when they need them most. And until next time, remember what Seneca said. It is the mind that makes us happy in whatever condition we are. The path is yours. Now it's time to live the Stoic life and become the person you were always meant to be.